Hello, this is DocPenguinDoc, here with another episode of Shipyard Showcase. This one's going over all the miscellaneous, or just lesser, basically just the non-Star Wars ships. Last episode I went over the Imperial ones, and the next one I'll be doing the Rebel ships, which there's the most of. And so let's just get into it. Alright, starting off with this first ship here, we have the Javelin 7. So this one is from the early 2000s Justice League cartoon. This is the ship that they fly around in, since not all of them can fly. So if we come and take a look, you can enter through this ramp in the back. This one's an older build, so the logic is probably a bit dated, and the interior and such, but it's still alright. Seating for 4 on the inside, and if we hop into the ship and take a look at the weapons, we have 2 laser cannons and 2 missiles. It's also got jump drive, cloaker, which is just radar jam, and then in terms of rails, we got this landing gear. There we go. So it's just got a plex foot in the front, and then these back ones spin back and forth. And then there's also the ramp in the back. And it's also got a rail docker down there at the bottom. If we take a look at the systems, it's not really much. Cannon does about 300 DPS. The missile does 1600 each. And if we take a look at the reactor, you can see it's a permanent strength 3 stealth jammer. It's got reactor base enhancement. Probably doesn't need that booster 3 for any reason. And it's got top speed 2. It probably needs an update, to be honest, but I don't really use the ship that much, so it's fine how it is. Just sit to get out from, because you get stuck when you exit the core. So yeah, then there, you can just exit out through the ramp. It's the only entry point. So let's move on to the next ship. Another DC ship coming up. We have Batman's plane, the Batwing. It's had quite a few iterations, but this one's most closely based on the animated series. So if we take a look here in the back, there's a button here, which you can use to open up the cockpit here. You can hop in, take a seat. There's a button there to close it back up. You can also hop in the core. And if we take a look at the HUD, we have 2 laser cannons. We have a cloaker, which is just for take a look at the weapons. 100 DPS on the cannon. But if we take a look at the reactor, turn right 3, stealth drive, anti-lock on, jammer, permanent duration, strength 5. So it's decent, but not really any firepower since it's pretty small and also quite slender. So that's pretty much it for the Batwing. Moving on to some of these cars we have here. I'll probably make more cars in the future, but as for right now, we have these 3. So we have the Battle Shell from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with this shell cycle. We have the T-Car from Teen Titans, and we have the classic Batmobile from the 1966 show. Start off with the Batmobile. So none of these really have anything special about them. They're basically they just go. I added repulsors on. I don't think I added on that one. I'll have to add them to that one, but I don't really know what repulsors do that much. The main thing you can do is you can just use this rail docker here, dock onto some sort of fake road type thing, and just have it on rails going around. So Batmobile's got 2 seats. Also, all the cars, I've made them just a standard I mean, I don't really know if it's standard, but for me it's going to be standard, is 5 blocks width for cars. So all these are 5 blocks across, so your roads can be like 7. For the battle shell here, you can open up this door here to get inside. Seating for all 4 turtles, and then back here you'll see that we have the battle shell, which you can actually undock and shoot out from, well, not shoot out, you just undock it and drive out, trying to wiggle it out from the ship. But this is just standard, not standard, but you know, just a small motorcycle that fits inside of there, which was a tight, I didn't even really expect myself to build it, but it was a pretty tight squeeze, but I did actually fit one in. So that's all the cars I got for now. Oh, I should also mention for the T car, when you get inside, you kind of just have to sit down on one of the chairs there, and then you can get in the car. But then to get out, there is a Plux store there, which you can then sit on and close back up, since you can't really get out of it at all. So let's move on to some of these ships back here. Alright, next up we got this, I believe it's like a Garen Interceptor. I don't really know much about Homeworld, but somebody here on the Cake Build server was making some carrier or something, and they wanted me to build this ship for them. So they just sent me a picture and I just threw this together. So probably only took like 2 hours to build this, but it's just a little fighter thing. Just enter through the bottom here. Not much of an interior, but if we hop in the core and take a look at the stats with the HUD, you'll see that we have these cannons here, and then we also have 4 top firing missiles that are lock-on. Then if we actually look at the stats, the cannon does 250 DPS, and each of the missiles does about 1800 damage. It's also got, if we take a look at the reactor, turn rate 2, reactor base enhancement, and strength 5 stealth jammer, that's permanent. And then taking a look at the other stats here, which I didn't do for the javelin, but it's not too noteworthy. You can just pause to read those. I think I have everything open. Yep. And let's take a look at this neighboring ship here. So this one isn't based on anything really. This is just one of my just simple ships to get around the galaxy. So this is just my jump ship. It's called the DI Mushroom. It's got a, if we take a look at the reactor, it's got a full jump drive, so basically just jumps fast. It's really all it's good for. It's also, you can see there in the stats, if we just pause to read them, it's got shielding, not much, but just so it doesn't get wiped off the face of the Earth, map, galaxy, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, not too much about this one. So this one is a bit more familiar to some people. It's the classic, the original series Shuttlecraft. So this is actually just some sort of throwaway build I built. Not anything too complex about it, but you can see if we hop in, there's some rows of seating, little, not reactor room, but just some sort of maintenance area back there. It's got the 3 windows, and then we can enter the core. If we go up a little bit, you'll see, we'll spin around. It's got a beam weapon, so just one orange beam, goes for a little bit of a burst, and then it stops. Tried to make it sort of similar to what it would be like in the show. It's got a jump, or a warp drive, I suppose. Take a look at the reactor, there's nothing, there wasn't really any space for anything back there. So it's just pretty simple shuttlecraft. I don't really have too many Star Trek ships, so nothing too much to go with this, but you'll see right next to me is another Star Trek ship, which I started working on somewhat recently, but it's still definitely in the development phase, you would say. So this is the Delta Flyer from Voyager. So there'd be like a ramp back here, and we have the bed, this closet thing, these pretty steep stairs up into this hallway, which goes, it's a very convoluted hallway they have in the ship. Still, I added space for rail doors if I do decide to add them. This is also pretty oversized, by the way. I just want to point that out. Although the Delta Flyer is actually surprisingly big, but this is still bigger than it should be. So there's those two seats, the seat in the back, and then the seat up front with all these sort of manual switches and buttons that Tom added. With his love for Captain Proton. And you'll see I tried to emulate that crazy window that he designed. I don't really know what Tom was thinking when he made this, but that's really the only part that's sort of done. It's the window and sort of the bridge area, because the nose is kind of, it's a bit pointy right now, and obviously the wings are not finished, the top isn't finished, the bottom's not finished, doesn't have any weapons or anything. There's just a docker there if I needed to dock to something, so not much to say about this one. But hoping to build more Star Trek ships in the future, since I mean, my parents are Star Trek fans, but I hadn't seen Star Trek before I started watching it in the summer of 2019, and I finished it last month, so finally sort of caught up on that aspect of sci-fi, I suppose. So it's also all fresh in my mind still. Still haven't seen Picard though. Still gotta get on that. But these here, moving on, are my sort of mining ships. So this one's just a little drone. I haven't actually named them yet, so this is just DI Miner Class 5. This is Class 4, and that's Class 3. So there's still room for some more. I might actually downgrade this one to Class 6, and then have a new Class 5 that's somewhere in between these two. But if we take a look on the inside, stats, we got the salvage computer here. I don't really think there's any stats to those, but it's basically just got these 4 salvage beams. And as far as storage, 300 volume units. So nothing too fancy about this one. The Class 4, you'll see at the bottom, it's got 2 docks for some Class 5s. And if we come inside, it's got a USD and gravity, faction, core, salvage computer. Also got storage up top, almost 5,000 units. If we take a look at the salvage array, it's got a much bigger salvage array than the Class 5, of course. As far as reactor, it's got mining bonus 2 and an auto charge. As far as shielding, since it does have shielding, it's got about almost 7,000. Take a look at the other stats. I don't really know. I didn't put these ones on the dock, but I could if somebody wants them. But I'm sure everyone has their own mining ships, probably. But I went with sort of my Dock Industries colors, the black and white with dark gray. And for the interior, my design philosophy sort of was the gray and the black still, mainly just because I didn't have room for other blocks, but then also green highlights, green lights, and floor stripes for sort of my mining class, and then red would be my attack class, and there'd just be various variants for that. But moving up here to the Class 3, got a USD on top, and if we pop in, there's a ladder there, full core, just a gravity block in plain sight. And here we have the living quarters with some windows and beds, some healing, which I'm actually not even full health for some reason. Got a little table. Then we got some workstations, a beam computer, which I think is actually just decorative. No, we have some beams. We have storage, then we have salvage, and what's this? Missile. So if we hop in the core, go down a little bit. This one is more powerful. Actually, I'll hop back into that one, the class 4 in a second, to compare. But I do believe this one is still more powerful than that one. So in terms of defensive capabilities, it's got 2 missiles. I don't really know what that beam computer was connected to. Oh, okay, it's connected to the missile. And then we've got the salvage beams, so it's put into these 2 pods here. Because this one is sort of based on like my first mining ship I made, which was sort of similar-ish to this design, although that one was a lot more simplistic. If we take a look at the reactor, we got auto charge, permanent scanner for ore, reactor base enhancement, and mining bonus 2. And what else? Ah, yes. In the stats here, take a look at these. It's got 9,000 shields, 4.2 thrust to mass ratio. I think this one has a camera too. Yeah, it's got a camera. The other one probably also had a camera. Let's take a look at the missile. So it's got 2 missiles that do 7,200 damage. Let's stop moving. There we go. And if we take a look at the salvage thing, so 26 groups. So this one's got 26 groups. Each one of them is 475 salvage power. Now let's jump to the other one. Just cut there. And looking at my other one, you can see it has less blocks, and it's only got 18 groups, so it's 8 less. And each one of these does more salvage power, I think, but there's less beams. So I don't know if that's better or worse, honestly, but something. And now let's move on to these big guys back here. So you'll see here we have the ships from, so these are the ships from Tron. I wasn't 100% sure what the names are, but I went with Tron Recognizer. I'm not sure if they even called these that in the older one, or if that's just a thing from the newer Tron Legacy ships, but either way, calling them Tron Recognizers. So I made orange, blue, and red. I don't think there was ever an orange one, but Flynn was driving the blue one, and I'm almost certain there was red ones. But let's just take a look at the red one. So basically, the ship I made a long time ago, and hey, future Doc popping in here just to sort of elaborate on built a long time ago, just to sort of show my evolution in building, I suppose. So on the left here we have the current, newer refit of my Tron Recognizer with quickfire updates and everything. And then here we have my old jump ship from years ago now, just to sort of show how my building has improved. So you'll see that the top section is definitely a lot different now, and I've also added outlines on everything, basically just trying to make it more accurate and just the whole just general shape of it. It's beefier, it's tighter, it's a bit wider. I mean, we also don't have this window here in the middle. There's an actual sort of bridge up at the top, and the interior, although it's still pretty small, it's not quite this generic. We actually still have this old jump drive block right there, and you'll see, I think there's put a hole in the bottom of the foot. You'll see that the still got all these old jump drive blocks and these old power strips going all the way down, because it is a pretty old ship. But yeah, that was just me coming to sort of show you the evolution from a couple years ago to today. And appear to be moving. It was my jump ship, so like all these arms were filled with those blue jump blocks. But obviously now my new jump ship is just that tiny little mushroom down there. Didn't need nearly as much space. Also, in case if you didn't notice, it's just got a simple little rail entrance in the back here. And all of them have color coordinated consoles, so the orange one has orange, blue one has blue. But if we hop in here, also there's a camera. Since the default view, you just are looking at that thing. So there's a camera down there, and then there's a camera sort of in the middle. And another camera, I guess. And then back to core. If we take a look at the... So this is the only one that has like a real weapon usage, sort of, or has any sort of actual attack potential, versus all the other ones which are just sort of decorative weapons. So it's got a missile. The 5 in the middle are just sort of not countermeasures, but just decoys. And then it's also got a cannon. And again, the ones on the red ship are red, orange ship is orange, blue ship is blue. Take a look at these. The missile computer does 200,000 damage. Decoy just do 100. And the cannon computer does 300,000 for every shot with 10 seconds of reload. It's also got 100% EM effect. I don't know what the other, if anyone knows what the heat and the kinetic E effect computers do. I don't actually really know, but I'm pretty sure EM does shields, so I knew that one at least. So this is just sort of my shield buster cannon, and then the missiles do the actual damage since they reload faster. And if we take a look at the reactor, it's level 53. So in comparison to my second biggest reactor, which is probably like level 3, this is pretty big. And it's just got base enhancement, because it's all since this is a pretty not modular, but like all the pieces are separated, so it's all limited to this one strut. Honestly, this was probably a bigger piece. I probably should have put it in there, but so the cannon is in this block, missiles in that block. I think support for those is in the center block. And then I think thrusters are in these, and then the stabilizers are in there. And like capacities in this one or something. Some more thrusters actually. And shields is in these two trapezoid triangle thingies. Fortunately, these crystals don't have like corner pieces or anything. It's just block and slope. So it looks a little bit janky, but it actually still does the effect pretty well, to be honest. So kind of happy with how that part turned out. Could also probably do rails here instead of having this inset, sort of inconsistent with how this part's inset, this part isn't. So another thing to possibly change, but I'm not too concerned with this one. I think it looks fine how it is, and really it's just more for the to like kill off pirate stations and stuff. I don't really think this is good at PvP, because if we look at the stats, shields only 180,000. This is a 9,000 mass ship. 9,300. I don't really know what sort of PvP stats are, but 188,000 shields might be a bit low. So it's fine against pirates in my experience, but I don't think it'll do too well against players. But usually I'll have like a fleet of a bunch of these with one of these colors leading and then balanced amount of the other two. But also I'll just give a little shout out to my DI viewer, which is just sort of the ship I use to fly around here on Cake Build, which I don't think I mentioned on my last video possibly, but all this stuff is here on the Cake Build server with the coordinates in the top left, top right, -156, 43, 65. That's where my base is. It's next to that wormhole system. If I could stop spinning, actually I can just do this. So this has been my miscellaneous ships. Also, I made a little shipyard, which is just sort of it's not really finished, but it's just a thing, sort of a placeholder station, which I just put my work in progress ships into. I've also made a lot of progress on the Tanev over there, which I will show off in the next shipyard showcase. But for now, this one has been all of my miscellaneous or just lesser affiliated ships, I suppose. And this has been DocPenguinDoc, signing off.